Public CEO Report is a podcast that provides insights about the public sector and public policy for the benefit of decision makers and leaders powering our communities. I'm your host, Ryder Todd Smith, and today we're joined by Peter Pirnejad, new director for the Davenport Institute from Pepperdine University. Peter, welcome to the Public CEO Report. And I almost hesitate when I say your name only because I want to throw doctor in front of it, right?
You're too kind. You're too kind. Now I can actually use my doctorate prefix for the first time and not feel embarrassed about it.
That's right. Yeah, you're not all fancy. You're just normal in your new
Now
role
I'm just normal. I'd be abnormal if I didn't have it.
Way to fit. It's almost like it was written in the stars all those years ago.
I tell you, man, just waited and waited.
Well, anyways, in all seriousness, yeah, I was looking at this on my intro script here. I'm like, this guy's a doctor. We should be talking about this doctor thing. Peter, great to see you. Always great to have you. You've been on this podcast before, which has been phenomenal to have you. So it's great to have you back. But this time you're back in a different context because you are back as this executive director for Davenport, which certainly people in California know all about. But also just being who you are in California and your various leadership roles you've had in local government, lots of people know who you are. But for those who don't, or who are fresh to this podcast, or for the AI gods that are going to crawl this recording, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're all about in your career?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ryder. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Love Public CEO, the work that you're doing at Tripepi Smith, phenomenal. You guys have really established a wonderful kind of a niche for yourself in communication. So if you guys don't know out there who Tripepi Smith is, obviously you need to take a look at that. That being said, as for me, Peter Pirnejad, now Dr. Peter Pirnejad, and absolutely delighted to start my encore career. After 27 years in local government, serving in the public sector, various leadership capacities, 5 years as a city manager in a couple cities, most recently Los Altos Hills, and before that in Foster City, 2 years in Oracle, leading their public sector global strategy, which gave me great insight into digital transformation in government. And along the way, made great friends and had a wonderful time, which led me to this opportunity to lead here at the Davenport Institute. This came at the perfect time for me. I had just finished my presidency at Cal ICMA, where I worked closely with ICMA nationally, teaching, lecturing on various topics like governing and leadership, publishing on topics related to AI, organizational development. But at my core, I'm a practitioner scholar. I care deeply about ethical leadership, civic discourse, innovation, public service, and what better place to do it than in an academic institution where you can teach, lead, provide thought leadership. And Davenport Institute here at the beautiful School of Public Policy at Pepperdine University, overlooking the beautiful Pacific Ocean, couldn't be a better place to land. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here.
That's, first of all, love the energy and also appreciate the extensive but very thorough and importantly critical academic background and research, but just this marrying of the scholar world or the ivory tower with your practical reality of having done the work, right? Been in the city halls and done the work inside those council chambers is absolutely critical, I think, to helping higher education connect with and support the local government community and advance ideas and practices and bring that academic perspective, which I'm confident we're going to talk about. Are you broadcasting today from Malibu?
I am. I'm sitting in my office with my fancy espresso machine, my diplomas, my books.
Do you have patches on your elbows for the jacket you have on right now or no?
I got to get those. You're absolutely right. I'm missing the patches.
Peter. All right. We'll work on that.
I'll send you some patches.
Now, at the risk of name dropping other institutions, tell me about your academic bona fides too. Where'd you do your undergrad and your graduate work?
Absolutely. So I started off in Southern California and kind of did all my academic work here. Started at UCSB, studied environmental studies and geography, waited a couple years and then went back for a master's degree at USC, where I got a master's in planning and development studies, and along the way got some credentials and certifications in geographic information science, which led to this whole world of gov tech. And then took a long gap, almost 10 years, and went back to school in my 40s after 3 kids. Think very closely about going back for a PhD after 3 kids. And went back to USC and got my doctorate in policy and planning and development. I had a wonderful dissertation committee made up of scholars and practitioners, including the late Bob Denhart, God rest his soul, was an absolute legend in the industry. Jim Keene, my former boss in Palo Alto, Frank Zerunian, who is still at USC doing phenomenal work, as well as Peter Robertson, who's a professor there. It was an all-star cast, and I was absolutely delighted. I learned a tremendous amount, and I knew one day I would use those degrees, and here I am.
And here you are. Perfection. It was written. It was written. And real quick, just in your local government service, some cities you've worked in, right? So I'm familiar with Los Altos Hills. I'm familiar with Foster City. Where else did you have the pleasure of spending some time serving communities?
I had the pleasure to serve under Jim Keene in the city of Palo Alto, where I was their first development services director. And that's where I got the opportunity to really get involved in GovTech and understand pilots and find ways to streamline and improve efficiency in government, which led to a bunch of additional courses in governance. Before that, I had the pleasure to work under Pat Martell, former ICMA president. And I was in their development services, community development and economic development department.
And was that in Daly City?
Several years. That was in Daly City, yeah, just before she retired. And before that, I had an opportunity to work in the Central and Southern California. I started my career down in Westlake Village, not too far from where I am now, and still have friends and colleagues throughout Southern, Central, Northern California. So it's been a glorious career, made a lot of friends along the way, and most importantly, I look back and I'm just delighted with what we were able to accomplish together. And now the challenges are even bigger and grander than they've ever been, and I feel like now I'm in a position to help.
Yeah, well, phenomenal. All right, well, thank you for that rundown. I appreciate it. But now here you are at Davenport. So for those who are not familiar, what the heck is Davenport? Give us a quick overview and why this work matters to government.
Yeah. So the Davenport Institute for Public Engagement and Civic Leadership, it's the practice-facing institute within Pepperdine's School of Public Policy. Our mission is simply to strengthen public service by advancing civic leadership, governance, innovation, as well as ethical engagement, which aligns perfectly with ICMA because we're all about ethical governance. Here we operate at the intersection of academic formation and rigor and professional practice and implication. And now, as things are changing with public discourse and whatnot, it couldn't be more relevant. Preparing graduate students for real world public leadership, providing professional education to city managers, department heads, other public officials, and elected officials, advancing applied research on governance and public engagement, and finally in serving as a bridge really between the university and the practitioners within public practice. And why it matters, simply because local government are facing extraordinary complexity right now. We're dealing with polarization, fiscal constraints, AI disruption, disaster recovery in various forms. Just in our neighboring community of the Pacific Palisades, we're absolutely devastated by a fire. And so we are living proof that our campus almost got engulfed in that. Yeah. We've got issues around housing pressure. Leaders need tools, they need frameworks, they need networks. So the Davenport Institute exists to help them navigate that complexity, as well as bring competence and integrity to their work through training and leadership development.
A couple things. So first of all, that's a lot of work. And how do you integrate the undergrad students in your programming?
A lot of ways. No, there's ICMA has a student chapter here at Pepperdine. We were actually the second in the state to form. I recently re-engaged them. We just got 2 of our members of that group, that cohort, invited to the ICMA a day with ICMA, which is actually happening tomorrow. So it'll be in Phoenix, and delighted that they're going to be there. We're going to have a booth at the ICMA annual conference in Long Beach, and we're really helping them engage with practitioners. We have a city manager in residence program where we invite a city manager, like the incoming city manager for Malibu, Joe Irvin, that came from South Lake Tahoe, is going to be joining us. We had Mike Futrell yesterday, along with the council member from his city, to join us, and they talked about what local government is. For those that might be listening, if you think back in college, you probably didn't even know what a city manager was. So, I didn't.
That's right.
So, right, we're training these young minds about what local government is and how to get involved in all the different areas that they can get into. It's amazing. If there's an area of interest, it's probably there's a local government equivalent to it. So whether you're in media, or whether you're a scientist, or you're an engineer, or you're just somebody that likes to tackle complex problems, there's a job for you in local government. So we're helping position these students with the industry in all kinds of ways and shapes and forms, and helping broaden their minds about where they can make a big impact.
Yeah. That's great. That's certainly important, and foundational, obviously, for Pepperdine, given that it's it's a university. So you have all higher, you have doctorate and master's programs there, and your core undergrads. And I liken that to my experience at Claremont McKenna, where we were deeply, we have institutes on campus there too. I happen to be involved with the Rose Institute, and we're always looking at ways to leverage the undergrad students and get them exposure and real world experience out there. So
absolutely.
So as you stepped in the director's chair, what's been your first priority? Like where are some things you felt you needed to understand more deeply or make some moves on?
Yeah, really important. I followed in the footsteps of Maureen Tobin, who came from Morgan Hill. She worked, I'm sure you know Maureen well.
I worked on a project with her in Morgan Hill, and always were good friends with her, and did a couple panels with her in her time as Davenport chair or as executive director. So love Maureen.
Yeah, so she came in just at the beginning of COVID, and the university and the institute weathered that horrific exercise, as did the students. So I'm coming in after she retired, and now trying to find a way to bring the institute more life and more energy, since we saw this softening during COVID, as a lot of institutions saw. So my first priority was alignment. So before launching anything new, I needed to really understand Davenport, as well as the School of Public Policy. They had just started a strategic plan. They called it the Public Policy Ascend 2030 strategic plan. It aligned to the university's larger strategic plan, and they're going to be having a large campaign. There's a quiet phase that we're in. There'll be a public phase coming in the next several months, where they go through a capital campaign to raise money and impact. And I spent a significant amount of time listening to Dean Pete Peterson, faculty, alumni, advisors, practitioners, about where the need was. And the key question was, is Davenport operating as a program unit or as a strategic asset to the school? And so I needed it to be a strategic asset. And so as a result, that reflected in the formation of like a refined strategic plan here at Davenport that aligns with the SPP strategic plan and the broader Pepperdine strategic plan. And I thought about it in terms of pillars. So the first pillar is student formation and placement. So we want to engage with our academic master's students to help them understand local government, as well as give them tools and networks and other insights into this wonderful career. Alumni engagement, those that have matriculated and graduated, and finding them and engaging them, as well as those that have matriculated through the Davenport Institute, through the variety of courses that we offer. So engaging them. Professional visibility. So I do a lot of public speaking. I'm going to be at ICMA speaking. I'm going to be at Orlando at the Reimagine Local Government, the Planning Commissioners Academy through Cal Cities, and a variety of other areas. This podcast is super important, but making sure that Davenport is visible and known, and our brand is well understood. The fourth pillar is around applied research. So we actually take on calls for paper, if you will, like research requests similar to how the Rose Institute does, and we'll do research around local government, governance in general, and we'll partner with our extraordinary faculty here to develop those thought pieces. And then finally, the academic innovation, looking for areas that we need to invest to apply both the academic rigor that we have, as well as kind of where is the practice going? So whether it's around AI, whether it's around civic engagement in the world of social disruption, whether it's around engaging and informing communities on how to prepare for disasters, not a matter of if, but when, and all these other topics that are really rising to the level of important and pertinent and timely. We're creating training material around those things to engage those existing practitioners.
What I mean, that's a lot. It's impressive. When did you actually start this job?
A month ago.
Yeah, you've been putting that doctorate on steroids, buddy. You've been really running it through its paces.
Yeah, I haven't been sleeping much, but
no.
I love the work. Absolutely love the work. No, it's great because there's been so much work that's already been done. It was just a matter of just positioning it and then, putting a turbocharger on it.
Yeah, well, I credit to Maureen for not only navigating
Absolutely.
it through the COVID period, but I certainly observed Davenport being more and more active in local government world during her leadership of that. So I'm appreciative of her work on that and advocating for the organization and advancing it. And it's great to continue that momentum with somebody of your background and experience in the world too. So it's a nice continuation of that effort. Reflecting, what is Davenport known for? What has it done really well that you think you want to just protect and build upon?
Well, what we've really been doing well is this public engagement. We have a 6 weeks course that gets into what is public engagement, and people might think of it as the touch point between the resident and the council during their 3 minutes in front of the council chambers. Well, that's just one little fraction of community engagement. And we get into it and we talk about what engagement it is. It's every opportunity that you engage with your city, whether it's reporting a pothole or, signing up for a recreation class or anything in between, calling 911. I mean, so many opportunities for engagement. And so we do a 6-week course on that. That's been going on for a long time, since back in the early days when Dean Pete Peterson was the executive director of a program that he actually incubated through Common Sense California, which was what it was called before it got rebranded as the Davenport Institute in 2010. And back then it was about empowering with city manager Ed Everett from Redwood City, who's now retired. And they would literally go around the country and the state talking about what civic engagement is and how do we empower residents to be more civically engaged. And so since then, civic engagement has changed so much. And so we're revamping that program, but still very popular. Other areas that we've developed a strong competency in is AI and local government. So we teach with Jonathan Reichenthal, former CIO of Palo Alto. Now he's on a world map, teaching and lecturing, doing strategy for countries. And we do a lot of work around that. And then in other areas related to governance and good governance, we've developed, and I'll talk a little bit more later about some of the programs that we've developed to help not only strengthen, but build upon some of the core competencies that Pepperdine has in an opportunity to kind of fill some voids that we're seeing in leadership development. One interesting fact: we've all heard about the silver tsunami. There's large swaths of people retiring out of the industry. But what we experienced in the last 5 years was COVID, as well as all the challenges that local government has experienced over the last 5 years plus, have accelerated that next generation into retirement. So we're seeing a lot of early retirements, which is creating a lot of disruption in the bench. If you think about, how many people the baby boomers and the Xers are, and how many millennials are there to take their place, there isn't enough bodies. So we need to encourage a bigger pipeline, and we need to empower those that are on the bench to have all the skills and abilities to be able to step into these leadership roles and just do an amazing job, even though they may be 10 years a little 10 years, even more early on when they would normally pick up that role. So we're encouraged by that challenge, and we feel like we bring a lot to the table to help educate this next generation of leaders.
Yeah, I would just note Tripepi Smith actually routinely sends our team to do that public engagement class at Davenport. So we've had several of our staff members who are alumni of the program. It's a great program. I highly encourage participation in it. And you have my recollection is you have a really good board of governors, or I'm not sure what you call them, but there's a board of advisors that help,
Yes.
that are practitioners in the space, either elected or city staff people that are also participating in that process.
Yes, yeah, we have members from all over, city managers, current practitioners, graduates of SPP program, both in the public and the private sector. So a really great mix, as well as retired people like Rod Gould and Jim Keane and others.
Yeah, rock stars. So there's a bunch of things that are Davenport's known for. Anything that you're shaking up or doing different? Like you mentioned AI. You'd been building some work there, and I know you've already, even in your short 4 weeks, you've already done one seminar on AI use in local government. But what else is going on in the kind of spectrum of programming or new stuff you're looking to introduce based upon your 4 weeks of deep dive?
Yeah, before I started, I got invited to come and do a session with Jonathan Reichenthal on AI. It was a one-day kind of overview of AI and how it touches local government. And we got such good feedback from that session. People wanted more practical tools, which has led us to develop a new program, which I'd love to be able to plug. It's our AI Leadership and Workshop. It'll be a 2-day high-level overview, and the second day will be a hands-on workshop on how to use an entire arc of AI tools within local government. The plan is to have this on July 28th and 29th, and we're going to both orient people in terms of how AI touches local government. We'll have a very interesting, engaged panel to talk with industry experts on the topic during dinner. And the next day, we're going to roll up our sleeves and teach you how to use this stuff. We're going to actually look at specific tools that can help you in the full arc of local government, which is everything from civic engagement, communications, ERP, finance, HR. We can even get into public safety and others. So we're going to try to give the users actual hands-on experience on how to use some of these AI tools in real time to empower them to go back to their cities and get that work done. We're also looking at a regional leadership academy. So right now I'm the co-director of the Santa Clara County Leadership Academy. That program is wildly successful. It basically, it operates like a regional hub where cities within a cog or within a cluster, within a county, will send 1, 2, or more representatives, they're rising stars, to this academy. It's held over 8 months. And every day we do a deep dive on 2 different topics. And there's a team project that teaches the participants how to communicate, both written as well as verbally, in a command performance in front of stakeholders and engaged people that can really test them on their competence in that topic area. So trains them for a city council meeting, basically, when they make a presentation, has to be clear and concise. So that's been going on for 15 years, and we're going to replicate that here at the Davenport Institute and offer that throughout California within regions of governments that want to assemble similar to how we do in Santa Clara County. And then there's also another program that we're thinking of launching that we're calling Campaign to Governance. Think about how many elected officials decide they want to be elected officials, don't know how to run a campaign, don't know how to organize themselves and do all the things necessary to get elected, and then transition to governance. And having a series of courses that can train that would-be elected official, or maybe one that needs a brushing up, on a full range of topics from campaigning all the way through election and governance, and how to transition to a council manager or a strong mayor form of government so that they can be effective once they get into that role. There's other areas that we're also looking into getting into, but those 3 really are something that we're just going to be stressing. But be on the lookout, because we want to absolutely tell you about some exciting new programs that are still in the horizon for next year. which I'm delighted to talk about once we get a little bit further along.
Well, and I know you have newsletters and other communications, and obviously an active website. Well, when we close this out, we'll have contact opportunities and information as well. So, how is Davenport positioning itself to address urgent challenges facing city and county leaders? Like, I mean, it sounds like obviously you have a bunch of programming you're envisioning, but what beyond that, or maybe how are you approaching that thought process?
Yeah, it's really around 3 high impact areas. The first is on AI and governance innovation. So we're developing AI leadership workshops, and the one that I just explained, this 2-day deep dive. We're building on curriculum content that helps leaders understand this unique challenge and how technology is going to help advance and prepare them for where things are headed. But governance, ethics, procurement, workforce implications, all of them are being touched by AI. And so we're preparing our leaders on how to actually not even just work with the AI, but understand how their practitioners are working with AI. How are the people within their city working with AI? So giving them that understanding. The second high impact area is ethical resilience and council manager form of government. We're seeing through ICMA's research submission, we just submitted a call for papers. We're understanding that there needs to be an opportunity to re-emphasize the importance of good governance practices. And we're seeing that there's been a loss of discipline, for lack of a better word, in how councils and staff work together to advance policy. I kind of hearken it to, we've gone from swim lanes to water polo. Now everybody is around the pool and trying to advance the same priority, but we have to work in this new, very complex environment where local government is being challenged to do things that it never was asked to do before. Mm-hmm. And so giving the practitioners the tools to do that. And finally, the last impact area is leadership formation at scale. We need to, as I mentioned, bring this bench up to pace and up to speed very quickly, empower them with the tools that we talked about, whether it's resilience, communications, AI, how to manage in a turbulent environment in this new polarized world that we live in. But that regional leadership academies that we're developing and scaling across the state, providing that executive level programming to help equip that next generation, the rising stars, into those professional disciplines of leadership. So in short, it's around innovation, it's around ethics, practical leadership capacity and capabilities.
Brilliant. That's a lot. You're going to be very busy, man. It's a good thing. Are you splitting your time between NorCal and SoCal, or what are you doing?
I am. Yeah. I come down here as needed, probably 2 to 3 days a week. I want to be present. I want to be seen, because those relationships with the students are so important. They need to know that I'm here for them. But at the same time, I've got, people in northern, southern, all over California. I'm speaking at conferences throughout the country. I'm flying to Orlando. I'm going to various New York to speak on AI. I mean, it's like there's really not one place I'm going to be at all times. So, right. But it's great work, super rewarding, and I feel like I'm leaving a legacy. It's great.
That's awesome. And so my next, perhaps the curious question is, where do you stay when you come south? Do they give you on-campus housing, or do you just have to park it at a Marriott over in Westlake? Like, what's the vision?
That's funny you asked that, because I think everything happens for a purpose. And my mom was getting up there in years, and I've been wanting to spend more time with her. And she lives like 30 minutes from the campus.
Oh, perfect.
And so I get to spend time, have dinner with her, tell her about what I'm doing here at Davenport, and get to spend some really important years with her. That's super. I couldn't have wished for a better situation. Of course, she's doting on her son. She's making dinners and, all this, packing me lunches. I feel like I'm in high school all over again.
What'd you pack in your lunch today, Peter? What'd you get?
She gave me a sandwich.
That's awesome.
It's great.
That's awesome. Please tell me it's peanut butter and jelly, and please tell me she cooked the crust off.
With a little garden of milk in it next to it. Yeah.
That's awesome. For any city managers or elected officials listening right now, and who aren't sure about how Davenport Institute can help them, what would you say to them? Like, give me the 2-minute pitch or the 1-minute pitch.
I would say if you're navigating complexity in local government, we can help you think more clearly. We can help you lead more clearly, effectively, connect to a larger network of peers facing similar challenges. So it's regardless of whether um, you need professional education programs, governance workshops, AI innovation training, executive forums to advance your bench, applied consulting. We help GovTech companies kind of understand their fit, or collaborate with your regional council governance. We do all of that work, just preparing um, those future leaders, both in practice as well as those students, prepare for an impactful career in local government.
All right. And think 10 years out now. I always like to ask my clients, what does success look like at an engagement we're having? So what does success look like for you with Davenport 5 or 10 years out?
Yeah. Number one, I would say the students consistently identify Davenport's experience as formative in their professional journey. We want to be that springboard for them. Secondly, I would say an alumni that's actively engaged as speakers, mentors, lifelong learners that come back to advance. Third, I would say city managers and elected officials seeing Davenport as a trusted governance partner to help prepare and equip them and their teams. And then I want to see SPP the School of Public Policy as a nationally recognized leader in practice-oriented public policy education. We have campuses all over the world. People may not know that, but Pepperdine has one of the largest percent of undergrads that study abroad out of all the universities. And then finally, I'd say academic innovation emerging organically from practitioner engagement. So teaching those practitioners how to actually use tools like AI. In the end, if a council or a city manager were to say, Davenport helped me navigate one of the most difficult leadership moments of my career, we've moved the needle.
Yeah. Fair enough. You had mentioned a bunch of upcoming sessions, so we talked about those. Is there anything else coming up that you want to make sure our viewers know about?
Well, clearly we continue to offer, and we will offer the public engagement seminar. It's a 6-week course. We also have one for realtors. Probably not a lot of realtors listening, but helping them understand local government. But we have a course for them. But more importantly, and hopefully you'll have some links on the bottom to get people connected, but this AI leadership workshop is going to be awesome. Really looking forward to doing that. And we're probably going to take it international. But that on July 28th and 29th, be on the lookout, put that on your calendar. This regional leadership academies, that is just an email to me. If you want one in your COG or in your county among cities, just give me a call. I'll come and make a presentation. I'm doing it here in one of our in our Southern California COGs that would like to see something like that. And then finally, I would say this campaign to governance program I'm really excited about. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to increase our reach. So if you want to be just on a listserv to get our communications, we'll be happy to add you. Probably put a link on the bottom so you can click on that and just be in the know. And so if there's opportunities that interest you, we'd love for you to join us.
Yeah, we'll add some links and details in the description of the podcast or on the YouTube channel as we get this pushed out to the team. I guess a challenging question I want to pose to you is, when you think about AI implementation in cities, how do you see cities adjusting to the impact of that revolution in how white collar work gets done? Like, that's a big amount of change. I know this could turn into a 40-hour conversation, and we don't have 40 hours right now. That's probably why they should go to one of the seminars you're doing. But I do want to just pose a little bit of challenge to you. You've been you're seeing that you're tech forward. You're a city manager. You're now in academia. You're speaking on this topic. How does the traditional government bureaucracy, which has sometimes a reputation for not moving as fast as the private sector, right? How do they make those adjustments? What does that look like for them?
Well, that's a really good question. I think, first of all, you have to be aware of what AI is.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand how it works. You have to understand what it automates, what it does well, what it doesn't, what its limitations are, how it can instill bias, and how it could be used for harm. You have to understand that. Just like when we came into the calculator, people immediately didn't want them in the classrooms. And now with AI, people are struggling. Do we include it in the classroom? Do we
Yep.
not? But you have to use it. I mean, there's no question that your staff is using it. The people you work with are using it. Your constituents is using it. So we need to provide that understanding of what it is. And then once we understand what it is, how do we develop the guardrails, the parameters, so that we can determine how AI is governed? Because if we don't, AI will govern us. So we need to understand, and then by putting in those guardrails, we provide the structure, we provide the lanes, if you will, for our workforce to be able to use AI in a productive and meaningful way. But without those guardrails and without understanding, people just start using AI in ways that might compromise private information, personal identifying information, PII, or they might use it in ways that provide very well polished gobbledygook, and that's one of the biggest problems. We see great content that's meaningless, and that
Yep.
doesn't really solve any problems. So, in short, AI will not replace local government leadership. That's for clear, but it will demand more strategic, technically literate, and ethically grounded leadership than ever before. You have to understand what you want to get across, and AI will help you advance that. But
Yeah.
it can't do the thinking for you.
Oh, that's true. It cannot do the thinking for you, and ultimately, you're still responsible, even if AI helps spit out a starter draft of work product or a staff report or something else. And clearly, not all AI is equal. Some do a better job than others, and a lot of that, as I'm sure you teach in your class, is dependent upon the inputs it gets and the direction it gets and the quality of the prompt it gets and things of that nature. So, I just think about the kind of revolution in the employment world that we're observing happen right now. Right, the pace of change with these AI tools is very significant. Last week, I think Block, which is a Jack Dorsey backed startup that does Cash App and Square, like they dumped 40% of their staff. And by that way, this isn't me saying like everybody's going to dump 40% of their staff. They're a tech forward company. They're really in that position, right? And they mostly replace developers, as I understand it. But they're, it seems like we're just witnessing right now this revolution and change that's going on, and it's happening as we read the pages of the Wall Street Journal today. So. And I just know if it might be a delay effect in the local government world, there's going to be some impact in the local government world. Again, I'm not saying that impact means people don't work in local government anymore. It's going to be interesting to see how that impact ripples through service-oriented 24/7 operations like local government.
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point. I mean, look what happened with Anthropic and OpenAI. Anthropic set some clear guardrails, and the DoD dropped them and picked up OpenAI. So we're going to be facing the same challenges. I mean, our constituents are going to want to know, is the information you're going to provide using AI trustworthy? Can I make sure that you're not going to compromise my personal identifying information? Like, all of these are really, really good questions, and we need a well-informed work base, people that understand how this works in order to create applications that move the needle. But this is the next industrial revolution. I mean, if there was something that was going to help us grow our economy, it's going to be AI, because there's nothing that creates more efficiency and productivity than this tool right now.
It is a potential game changer, and then we have to figure out the rest of it. But that's
right.
That's why we keep reading these incredible memos from Citriani Research or various ex-posts that have just gotten viral over people's predictions of what's possible. But they're predictions. I mean, it's nice to at least brainstorm what's out there, and hopefully, fundamentally, we don't end up like the Matrix and we're all just batteries.
Always say please when you type in a prompt. That's right. My only advice.
Okay, Dr. Peter Pirnejad. Can you please tell people how they can get a hold of you?
You can email me directly. It's my first name dot last name at pepperdine.edu. And we'll put a link in the bottom. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can just search for me. Or you go to the website and find more information about the School of Public Policy and the Davenport Institute.
Great. And that's today's report. My thanks to Peter for joining us. From the whole PublicCEO team and myself, Ryder Todd Smith, thank you for your time. We hope you learned something new and inspiring that will help you in your public service. Remember, PublicCEO has a daily newsletter that is free to those who sign up at PublicCEO.com. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the PublicCEO Report. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing across all of our platforms so you never miss out on this great content. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Music.